Los invitamos a que nos sigan en simultáneo en nuestra página oficial del servicio, en Facebook y a través del numeral 100 años SGC en Twitter. Les recordamos que este evento está siendo grabado por el Servicio Geológico Colombiano. Es realmente muy honroso para el Servicio Geológico Colombiano dar inicio a la sesión de hoy con la presentadora de Suzette KIMBALL, quien es la directora general del Servicio Geológico de los Estados Unidos. Ella, por primera vez, nos acompaña en América Latina, no había estado anteriormente, es su primera oportunidad de estar en el continente latinoamericano. Suzette es directora del Servicio Geológico de los Estados Unidos de América, es geóloga con estudios de maestría en Geología y Geofísica en la Universidad Estatal de Ball y un doctorado en Ciencias Ambientales con énfasis en procesos costeros de la Universidad de Virginia, donde fue asistente de docencia. La doctora Suzette fue codirectora del Centro de Políticas y Administración Costera y Científica Marina del Instituto de Ciencias Marinas de Virginia. Dirigió algunos estudios con el Cuerpo de Ingenieros de la Armada de los Estados Unidos, trabajó también en el Servicio de Parques Nacionales, en el cual fue coordinadora del Programa de Cambio Climático y ocupó otros cargos directivos. Posteriormente ingresó al Servicio Geológico de los Estados Unidos, donde ocupó cargos como directora asociada para Geología, directora adjunta y finalmente directora general del Servicio Geológico Americano, entre otros cargos. La doctora Kimball hace parte de diferentes juntas directivas y de varios comités estatales y nacionales. Es la autora de numerosas publicaciones acerca de la dinámica de las islas barrera, manejo y política de zonas costeras, y de exploración, evaluación y manejo de recursos naturales. Con un fuerte aplauso le damos la bienvenida a la doctora Suzette KIMBALL. Suzette ofrecerá la conferencia El rol de las ciencias respondiendo a las necesidades sociales. Welcome to Colombia.
Well, thank you very much for the very kind introduction and for this invitation to participate in the 100th anniversary celebration of the Colombian Geological Survey. It is a great honor to be here. The event serves as a great reminder of the significant role of government-sponsored science agencies such as the Colombian Geological Survey and the role they play in informing decision-making on natural resources, hazards, and environmental issues. Before I begin the formal part of my remarks, on the behalf of the United States of America, I'd like to provide our congratulations to the Colombian Geological Survey in its 100th year of operation. So with growing populations and development, we all face unprecedented challenges: the loss of critical and unique ecosystems, the effects of climate change, increasing demands for limited energy and mineral resources, increasing vulnerability to natural hazards, and growing needs for clean water. These are all threats to our food, water, and national security across the world today. These issues make us all neighbors, and these threats do not adhere to international or country boundaries, so we are all collectively at risk. Inevitably, our leaders around the world will be obliged to make decisions in the next few years, whether they do it in boldness or by inaction. These decisions will influence the future health of our planet. The leaders who must speak for all of us must have a more confident understanding of the science of the natural world if we as societies are to act wisely and to implement sound policies that promote sustainable development and prosperity for all people. Government-sponsored science has a critical role in decision-making so that the inevitable trade-offs across multiple goals of natural resource management, the exploration, use, conservation, and restoration of our natural resources all are informed and fully considered. Policymakers and decision makers face difficult choices. They need our scientific information. And they need information that is appropriate, that is either broadly comprehensive or focused on a particular locality, possibly both. They need information that is accessible for quick response and mutual understanding. And they need information that is authoritative, widely trusted as accurate and unbiased. Many of these current challenges can rarely be addressed by a single science discipline. The questions that are addressed by scientists at U.S. Geological Survey and our sister agencies around the globe transcend those individual academic fields and require an understanding not only of geologic processes, but also of the potential impacts to the biological system and to the human environment. The international scientific community has an important role to play to address these challenges by bringing together different areas of scientific expertise and working in partnership across a wide variety of disciplines. We must be able to bring together our vast array of expertise and information to help tackle these pressing issues. So, a little bit of background on the U.S. Geological Survey. We are an independent research agency, and we sit within the Ministry of Interior, the Department of Interior. Our role is to provide scientific understanding about natural resource conditions, issues, problems, and solutions. We are unusual in the United States in many ways. We have no regulatory nor land management responsibilities, but we do have a responsibility to build a worldwide reputation for objective, unbiased science. We maintain data at all scales, from the microscopic to the global, and ranging over temporal scales from deep geologic time to the recent historic events. And of course, we are now committed to the predictive capabilities to understand what may happen in the future. An important part of our role is to make our data and information transparent and available in the broadest possible way. We use a systems approach rather than a discipline-based approach. This enables us to bring a full integrated capability to the most pressing environmental and science issues of our day, both nationally and internationally. Our mission transcends ecosystems, hazards, energy, water, minerals, environmental health, and climate and land use change. And the natural science investigations we conduct are making substantial contributions to the health and well-being of the United States and our colleagues worldwide. No other single organization in the United States has the breadth of science expertise, the extensive national on-the-ground presence, and the wealth of biologic, hydrologic, geologic, and geographic monitoring capabilities, nor the long-term data and information that's derived from these capabilities. It's the diversity of scientific expertise and the broad scope that enables us to build our knowledge about the Earth and gives our decision makers at all levels of government and citizens in all walks of life the science and factual information that they need. But we don't do this alone. We leverage our resources and expertise in partnerships with more than 2,000 different organizations, both within the United States and internationally. So, our science is used because decision makers need authoritative, credible scientific information. And, well, pretend you see the next slide. Decision makers need authoritative, credible, scientific, information that is applicable at every scale, from neighborhoods to nations, from crossroads to continents. And we need to be able to address the critical environmental and societal issues around the world. Climate variability and warming over the past century have already had measurable effects on ecosystems, societies, economies, and health. Science has and will continue to play an essential role during the next decade to help communities and land and resource managers understand local and regional implications, anticipate effects, prepare for changes, and reduce the risks of decision-making in a changing climate environment. The USGS has a long history of studying climatic variability and change and providing those data and information on a variety of issues. And I'd like to highlight a few of those. First, food security. The effect of changes in land use and climate on food production affects all of us. By 2050, worldwide demand for food will require more than 1 billion hectares of new cropland to feed more than 9 billion people. Presently, over 70% of all the water used by humans goes towards agriculture to produce food. Changes in climate, water availability, and land use are key contributors to food insecurity. Understanding the drivers of change and monitoring their cumulative effects on food production are essential components of the strategies for protecting vulnerable populations and guiding sustainable development. The USGS is contributing towards this effort with the Global Food Security Support Analysis Data Project, which provides 30-meter data globally on cropland extent, crop type, irrigated versus dryland farming, and cropping intensity, single, double, and continuous. This cooperative project with NASA relies on several satellite observation networks, including Landsat, MODIS, and other remote sensing capabilities, including ground-based data, to provide consistent, unbiased estimates of global cropland and water demands. Monitoring global croplands and water use is imperative to ensure sustainable water and food security and averting disaster. So, Landsat. The technology revolution in satellite-based observation is making it possible for us to continuously monitor the Earth in order to record, study, and understand land use change at local, regional, and global scales. Through the aid of geospatial information systems and Earth observations, we now understand much more about our world than ever before, and we understand more about the complexity and the interrelation of different systems. In many cases, the information derived from these Earth observations supplies the foundation for scientific advances in many fields of natural resources, including minerals, energy, water, and natural hazards. The U.S. government is one of the largest providers of geospatial and Earth system data in the world, and I'm very proud to say that the USGS is a major contributor to that effort. It will remain a priority for us long into the future. The USGS has responsibility for Landsat, the world's longest continuously acquired space-based remote sensing data. Landsat has been collecting data for over 44 years. The archive of more than 2 million images helps to sharpen our focus on changes in Earth systems by contributing insight on many global challenges at international to local scales, including climate change, food security, land use planning, forest and wildlife conservation, and disaster response. All of this information is freely and transparently available. Additionally, through our Land Change Science program, we're monitoring and modeling land use and land cover change at multiple scales, documenting the geographic variability of change and defining environmental, social, technological, and political drivers of change, as well as assessing their impacts. And again, we do not do this alone. We are absolutely dependent on the international network of receiving stations for the Landsat data streams, including several here in South America and a recently developed one in Mexico that I had the pleasure of signing an agreement for last November. And we look forward to being able to execute additional agreements with our colleagues here in Latin America to continue to receive the Landsat data stream. So science collaboration is very, very important. And as we have noted, the U.S. Geological Survey has enjoyed a long-standing collaborative relationship with the Colombian Geological Survey. We've worked on a variety of issues and projects, particularly as they relate to natural resources and natural hazards. Volcano hazards mitigation is an excellent example of this collaboration. The Volcano Disaster Assistance Program, or VDAP, was created in 1986, following the Nevada del Ruiz tragedy here in Colombia. Since then, we've worked closely with the Colombian Geological Survey on various crisis response and capacity building projects, including direct involvement in establishing 3 volcano observatories that now function here in Colombia. Recently, U.S. Geological Survey scientists traveled here to Colombia with scientists and emergency managers from other agencies to hold workshops with teachers, journalists, and park interpreters to share information related to the socialization of scientific and hazard information for the general public. And earlier this month, we came together in the state of Washington as part of the U.S.-Colombia Binational Exchange to observe the Cascadia Rising earthquake exercise and to test our preparedness for a large subduction zone earthquake. Past responses to hazards, such as to Nevada del Huila, are particularly important as they illustrate the progress that's been made since the 1985 tragedy at Nevada del Ruiz, both in terms of better understanding the complex nature of eruption and the lahar hazards, as well as ensuring monitoring and good communication practices are in place that hopefully will reduce and save lives. We'll be discussing, Tom Murray of the USGS will be discussing some additional information about eruption responses during a geohazard session on Friday afternoon. Another area of cooperation is with silvocarbon. It's a good example where we are all working collaboratively to address key issues in forest and terrestrial carbon management, monitoring, and through the use of satellite data, in situ monitoring, modeling, and other research activities. The silvocarbon program has been coordinating with technical teams in Colombia and 9 other Latin American countries to advance climate change mitigation and low-emission development. The Climate Hazards Group Infrared Precipitation with Station Data, also known as CHIRPS, is a 30-plus year quasi-global rainfall data set. It incorporates high-resolution satellite imagery with in-situ station data that enables scientists to develop rainfall and other models that reliably predict crop performance in parts of the world which are vulnerable to crop failure. This information is being used by policymakers within governments and non-government organizations for critical resource allocation decisions. As a member of this collaborative effort, the USGS recently held a workshop in Colombia on the use of CHIRPS and tools that had more than 24 participants from a diverse set of organizations. But with all that we're doing for collaboration, there's more that we can do. We can incorporate our ability to boost scientific information and to share data to further our endeavors and to advance our knowledge. We should continue to look for collaboration opportunities related to natural hazards, but we also have many opportunities before us to expand our collaboration efforts into other science areas such as energy, minerals, and water resources. The USGS firmly believes that free and easily accessible data is a cornerstone to making educated decisions as we guide the development of our own economies and in the advice that we provide to others. An example of our commitment to this is through our efforts to make the Landsat dataset free and open and accessible to anyone in the world. Additionally, the United States has mandated new open data policies for all our federal agencies to ensure that all government data and information are released to the public in ways that make the data easy to find, accessible, and usable for decision making. The USGS has spent much of its effort to ensure that our information is part of the public domain and that we actually produce that information with minimal barriers for others to use it. We make our information products available for free or charged solely for distribution costs. The broad community of people that need this type of information transcends our national borders, transcends continental borders. In fact, there is a saying that says that countries have borders, science does not. There are many nations that don't have the capacity to obtain or to use and apply geospatial information to their environmental challenges. In collaboration with our international colleagues, such as the Colombian Geological Survey, we are able to assist our colleagues across the world, and we advocate the same goals across national boundaries, to make relevant interdisciplinary science and geospatial information readily available so that it can routinely and effectively be used everywhere in making wise decisions that will affect all of us in the generations to come. In fact, last November in Mexico City, 100 ministers from around the world came together to charter the next decade of the Group on Earth Observations and committed in that charter to maintaining free and openly accessible data for all. The success of a broad and ambitious science agenda requires a highly skilled scientific workforce, both for today and in the future. And it will require a diverse set of scientific knowledge and skills. Geoscience education is at the root of preparing the next generation of skilled geoscientists to be able to address important issues that will help us meet society's needs. We need these young people to begin to look at issues in natural resource development and management, environmental protection, ecosystem restoration, and natural hazards mitigation. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education is a designated priority of our administration in the United States. President Obama has called upon 200,000 scientists in our federal workforce to help in this national endeavor. And in his words, he says, "We know that the progress and prosperity of future generations will depend on what we do now in science to educate the next generation." So it's going to be important for all of us to think ahead, to identify the issues of the future so that we can train and acquire the right skills to be able to conduct the geoscience that is needed to help inform those issues. At the USGS, we see great opportunity in collaboration with our colleagues around the world. So as we celebrate the centennial of the Colombian Geological Survey and all of its accomplishments, we look to the future and the important role we can all play addressing some of the most pressing challenges facing the world. I look forward to working with all of you as we extend our partnership and ensure that the relevant science that our organizations conduct continues to leave a mark in making this world a better place for current generations and generations to come. Thank you very much for this opportunity to participate in this meeting.
Muchas gracias, Suzette, por tu extraordinaria charla, por mantener vigentes los lazos de cooperación entre nuestras entidades. Nosotros realmente apreciamos el intercambio y la relación benéfica que hemos venido teniendo a lo largo de tantos años. En nombre del Servicio Geológico y como representación de los caminantes que recorren centímetro a centímetro cada territorio levantando la información geológica, tenemos este recordatorio de esta charla en nombre del Servicio Geológico Colombiano. Mil gracias, Suzette.